Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. Can you really get a cinema camera for under £1,000? With the imminent release of its 4K big brother, the BMPCC 1080 is likely to crash in price. Currently, you can pick them up for around £500 to £700, but I reckon by the start of 2019, this will drop even further. Is this then the best bang for buck you can get on the market? It has a Super 16 size sensor with a whopping 13 stops of dynamic range. Now, for anyone that doesn't know what that means, the Super 16 sensor will give you a true film-like look, and those extra stops of dynamic range just mean that when you get into post-production, you have a lot more to play with. It captures beautiful film-like video at 1080p, and the formats are going to be in either RAW, Cinema DNG or Apple ProRes. And again, that's an editor's dream. It is pure post-production. You get an utterly flat image, which means you can color grade it in any way that you please. Recording of that video is done onto either an internal SD card or via HDMI out to an external SSD recorder, something like an Atomos Ninja. And genuinely, this camera captures film-like video on that Super 16 sensor in something that's smaller than most compact cameras. So with that, let's look at the good bits of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. The ease of use of the camera body itself is right up there. There's very few controls that you actually need to look at, and there's even less buttons on the camera itself. Most menus are on the touchscreen that are on the back. It doesn't give you a huge amount of control over anything. That's purely because what you're getting is a very flat image. There's not really any color profiles that you need to worry about. It is grab focus, make sure it's lit, and hit record. The image quality is the primary reason why anyone would want this camera. It really is immense. I can't stress enough, it is film-like. It's a truly beautiful, flat image that you get out of it, and the dynamic range is incredible, really. For something that's this small, this portable, and this cheap, it's shocking that we don't see more of them out there. Finally, it's really well built. It's incredibly lightweight, but it is a metal construction. It's not the most ergonomic thing because it is quite so small, but it feels solid in the hand. It doesn't feel cheap in any way. It feels like a miniature cinema camera. So let's look at the bad bits of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. First up is the workflow. The workflow that you get after filming is huge. It's slow, it's clumsome, and it's definitely not for beginners. Because of that flat image profile and that large dynamic range, you'll get something out the camera that looks kind of grey and ugly. And for those that are unused to that, you'll probably think that it's the worst camera in the world. It takes a long time to learn how to color grade and correct. But when you do, the results are truly worthwhile. But bear in mind, you're adding on a whole nother section onto your edit, so your workflow is going to increase in time, possibly by double. The battery life is absolutely appalling. It takes the Nikon EL20 batteries. They have a tiny capacity, it's around 1000 milliamp, which means that with a camera that's doing this much work and recording at that higher bit rate, you'll be lucky to get 1 hour of shooting out of it. That means either a pocket full of batteries or plugging it into the mains. The crop factor of the Super 16 sensor and the Micro Four Thirds lenses means that you're punching into a shot by nearly 3 times. It's 2.8 times crop, which is huge. You can get tiny lenses with a really wide focal length on them, 12mm pancakes for example, but those 12mm pancakes actually become a 36mm lens. So bear that in mind, you're always going to be a lot more punched in than you are on a full frame or even a camera with an APS-C size sensor. The audio is utter garbage. It's only good for referencing or syncing, and you may be thinking, it's okay, I'll stick on an external microphone. That ain't gonna help you either. The preamp is just as bad as the microphones that are on it. So really, don't even consider recording audio onto this camera at all. It's just a no-go area. The focusing is really slow. The touchscreen on the back that you're supposed to monitor everything with is unusable in anything but pitch black. There is no high frame rate recording on this, and the image stabilization is non-existent. In reality, what you're getting is the brains of a beautiful cinema camera. It is the sensor, the computer, that will give you the ability to capture beautiful images, but you're going to need a whole host of additional accessories to get this working as a functional bit of kit. You're gonna need a cage for this camera, something that you can build a rig around it with 1/4" threads all over the place. You're definitely going to need a solid state recorder, something like the Atomos Ninja. Hopefully that recorder's got a usable monitoring screen on it. If not, you're gonna need a monitoring screen, something like the Blackmagic Video Assist. You're gonna need something external to record audio with, maybe a lapel mic and an external recorder, maybe even something cheap like a Zoom recorder. And that's really just to get started. You're then gonna need the obvious things like tripods or mounts of some kind to hold this camera on, because like I said, the image stabilization is non-existent. You probably couldn't even get away with hot mounting it on your shoulder. It's going to need to be tripod mounted to get any kind of steady shots. Now it sounds like I'm really being hard on this little camera, and I am. It's full of shortcomings, it's really hard to work with, the workflow at the end is really labor intensive. You're going to need to probably spend the same amount again on accessories just to get it working. But that image that you get out of it means so much. You can't help but kind of fall in love with this annoying little camera. And when the price does drop to sub £500, I think I'll be buying another one. So truly it is film-like quality video on a micro budget. It's not for the faint-hearted, it's definitely not for the beginner. But if you fancy a challenge and you've got £500 to burn, then look no further than the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. That's been my grab and go review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.